Yo, what's up? It's Ritzy Roy here. Today's video is going to be about the ADC experience. For the last, I think, 2-ish days I was off, I went on a little bit of a grind again on ADC. ADC is actually my secondary role next to support. I'm currently in the process of learning mid lane. I play a few games of that too, but so far, my, role priority usually goes support, then ADC, and then mid lane's like my tertiary that I'm starting to pick up, but I'm not the greatest at. ADC, I'd say I'm decent enough at it that I'll play it in ranked. So while we were on this ADC grind, I was looking up videos and other people's experiences with it and how some people say it's the worst role, it's the best role, and I wanted to summarize my experience into how I felt playing it. And so just in case if you're thinking about picking up the role, or if you do play the role, just maybe we can condense why it feels this way and maybe how we can deal with it. So I made another PowerPoint for this one just to organize my thoughts and get us past things real long and to break up the visual monotony. We're gonna tap back and forth between gameplay and PowerPoint just like we did last time. So for the beginning, I used Sisyphus pushing a rock up a hill, because as ADC, you're constantly trying to scale to godhood so you can 1v9 the game, while trying to avoid getting one-shotted or deleted. Because when you fall behind on ADC, it absolutely sucks. And when you get a lead on ADC, it's, depending on who you are, some people get one-shotted still, but it usually feels really good when you get a lead on ADC. It kind of leads the role being super polarizing, where it's either the funnest role, in my opinion, in the game, or it's the least fun role because you can't play the game and Mundo's just walking you down and one-shotting you. Alright, so continuing on. When you pick ADC, there's a dream you want to reach. You want to complete your OP your OP quest where you get extra gold and you get more item slots. You want to usually complete that quest so then you can use your mechanics, they call it kite guiding. You can space glide around the map, and then you can 1v9 the game because you scaled to late game and you destroyed a bunch of people. That's like the dream, that's the roadmap, I guess. Like the golden scar, that's what we want to do. That typically, if that plays out how it is, then ADC is fun. ADC feels amazing when you get to follow the dream of getting your 6 items, because at late game, if everything goes as planned, you typically will be amongst one of the strongest characters in the game, depending on who you pick. And for this, we're playing Smolder. I did a video about it earlier where we were talking about support synergies. We're going to mention that later, but support synergies can play into how strong you are late game and your influence and how much you scale. But depending on who you play, most ADCs are typically kind of strong in the late game. I think we get first blood here. I'll let this play out while we talk about it. But yeah, most ADCs are kind of strong in the late game. Oh yes, I remember this. Okay, so in chat, I wouldn't usually spam mastery on someone, but in chat in this game, there was a lot of banter back and forth, specifically between me, this Kha'Zix, and this Switch. There was some passionate talk going on, and they were basically saying that they're gonna camp me. I didn't say anything to them, I didn't start it, but it was like, we're gonna camp the Smolder or something, and he did camp me. Like, he fulfilled his promise. He came bot many times this game. So the first gank, they kill my Teemo, which is kind of ironic. We just got done talking about Teemo support in our off meta videos. Even though this guy, I was skeptical of him, but he's pretty good. He actually can play a pretty mean Teemo support. Kind of just shows that not all off meta players are trolls. Some of them know how to play the game. Well, not some of them, but you know what I mean. This was one of the good ones. This is one of the really good Teemo support players, and I had a lot of fun playing with him. Okay, off from the gameplay, back to the topic at hand. So, yes, you want to get your 6 items, you want to kite guard them, you want to 1v9, which you get a late game. That's the dream of ADC, that's what we're all aiming to do. And this is when ADC is fun, when things go our way. However, to get to the dream, you have to play the survival horror. It's the early game. It is arduous, it is brutal. These 2 images I used here kind of are meant to convey the feeling of it. So, before we get to just like how the enemy sees you, they see you as the delicious treat they want to eat. Let's talk about just how the game generally plays out before you reach the dream. So you are going to be team fighting a lot on ADC because you were near the dragon where all the traffic is at, where all the money is. People want to come bot, they want to fight. Bot, I say ADC is like the extrovert role. And in these team fights, you are usually going to be the top priority to kill. Not always, but usually people want to kill the ADC first. One, because they're easy to kill, and two, if they don't kill you, you're going to do a lot of damage and probably carry the fight. I know from whenever I'm playing mid lane, I'm usually thinking about killing the ADC. Usually the jungler is thinking about it. It's just how League is. You should want to kill the ADC because they are important. Sometimes kiting isn't always enough and you will need Pill. There are characters in the game like Ramus and Akali that are just simply too fast to kite out, I would say. Not too fast to kite out, but like you can't space glide on a... How is it the best example? Let's use Vi. Vi literally has a point and click ultimate where she can charge her Q, launch herself across the screen, and then she point and clicks you, and she does this little like suplex animation where she zips up to you and then she picks you up and throws you on the ground. You can't kite that. Like, I know like the dream is we kite goddom, but the reality is there's certain things in the game that no matter how mechanically good you are, you're going to get clapped by. So for that reason, the role is team oriented. The way we deal with it is peel. We usually ask for people to help us and stuff like that. You have like an enchanter that can shield you, blah blah blah. You need somebody to help you, and you're dependent on other people. That's how your team fights will play out. Next, let's talk about how the enemy sees the ADC before they get strong. The enemy are going to be the two cats that are hunting you, and you're going to be the mouse. In the early game, it's cat and mouse. ADCs are delicious treats to kill early on because they are small. They can't fight you back, and they're usually worth a lot of gold if you come bot. I know for me in particular, in my mid lane journey, I've been playing some Sylas, some Diana, and some Nico. When I'm looking to roam from mid to bot, and I have Dark Seal, I usually got money. I got money, and I got Dark Seal stacks in my mind, because there's a lot of people that are easy to the kill down there, and it's super good to get your bot lane ahead, because they will determine how the late and mid game plays out. So it's important to go bot. For that reason, camping bot is actually a pretty common strategy for junglers. Back to our game here, Kha'Zix is doing that right now as we speak. He was literally camping me this game. I mean, he said he was going to do it. Well, right now in his footage he's camping us, but this game he literally declared, yes, I'm going to camp you, because I don't remember why. It was like 2 days ago, but it was something to do with the trash though. But for that reason, yeah, camping bot's going to be common. Junglers are going to do it. They shouldn't always do it, but for the most part, especially in like the lower elos where like people aren't like using it too much strategy, you are going to see junglers come to camp bot, which isn't a bad idea, but it's not always the best idea, but it's going to be common. There are 2 people to kill down here, so there's twice the money to make, and there's the dragon. And the people down here in the early game are usually the easiest to kill in the game because they don't have escape options and stuff. What happens here? I think we get into a little 2v2. Twitch pops his ultimate. He's AP Twitch, so he does like 0 damage early on. I R him. Oh yeah, flash Q, and yeah, he goes down. Kha'Zix wasn't there to save them. Okay, so we got that done. Let's talk about supports. Sometimes will need to roam. It is not always the strongest strategy just to sit bot and watch your ADC farm, especially if you have like a an Ezreal or like a Smolder that's going to be okay by himself. Sometimes it's a good idea just to roam and do other stuff, which is completely fine. It's a legit strategy in the game. For you as ADC, that means that when your mommy or daddy's gone, you're gonna have to play safe under tower because there's so many people out there that want to kill you. You're worth a lot of money. And it kind of makes, I guess, the early game annoying when your support's gone, but sometimes your support needs to roam because it's just not beneficial to the game to sit bot the whole time. Next is, mid laners love to come and say hi because you're right next to them, and it kind of leads into what I was saying earlier where like the Dark Seal stacks and all that stuff, so you're going to see mid lane a lot if you're playing ADC. You should see them a decent amount if the mid laners are doing good, but you're gonna see them, so just get used to it. Depending on who they're playing, they might one-shot you, they might help you, you never know. You are playing the extrovert role, where everyone's up in your face all the time, but you don't really get to roam to anyone else. They come to you. Okay, so once you get past all of that early game BS, there's the added thing to worry about, which is Mage's Bot. These are usually characters that were intended to go mid lane and fight people with far stronger laning phases, so they're usually, I guess, kind of more dominant in lane. But those characters tend to benefit really well. Well, mages, not all of them, but the mages that do go bot will benefit super well with the bot lane passive or the bot lane quest. Some characters like Vladimir and what's his name? Vladimir, Vigar, and Aurelian Soul, in my opinion, in some ways, probably benefit more from the 6 items and increased gold you get from bot lane than they do from the increased XP and boots. It's debatable. I don't 100% think they're better bot, but like I think Elite 500 right now is playing he's spamming Vladimir bot because of that. Because it makes sense. Vladimir is more of a gold scaler than he is like a level scaler. Even though he doesn't hate levels. But for that reason, you're gonna see people who will take mid lane characters, or they will take the majors bot lane, and typically, since people in bot lane don't have the strongest laning phases, they can take them bot and see great success. And they are usually hard to fight against because they can poke you out. And again, they're meant to fight. They're meant to fight the big and bad mid laners. They're not meant to fight the marksman. There are ways to get around Mage's bot. There are certain picks that are strong against them, like Zeri, Ezreal. Sivir's a good one because she has a spell shield. Ezreal, he has a little teleport to dodge stuff and he can farm from far away. You typically want someone with good mobility and high range or sustain. However, before we get into, I guess, what to pick into them, I don't want to just give you specific picks because we went over this in another one of our videos. Support synergies do exist, and depending on who you are playing with, the power of your character can change. This is one of the unique aspects of bot lane that doesn't really exist in the other roles. I'm going to link my video on support synergies in the description, but one of the unique aspects to ADC is that one character who is always strong can have their power level vary depending on who their duo is with. I mean, I guess in top lane, your power level varies based on who you're fighting. In bot lane, it's who you're fighting with and who you're fighting. So, good example, I think I used it in the PowerPoint, is Lucian. Lucian usually is a decent ADC. He's usually like mid-tier-ish. You know, he's not like horrible. I don't know how he's doing right now. I haven't checked, but usually he's like okay. But when he gets Nami in particular, he's giga broken. When he gets either Nami or like Sona, I think Yumi is another strong with him. When he gets those kind of enchanters, you take this mid-tier ADC and suddenly he's super, super strong. So for that reason, in bot lane, I would say it's a tad bit harder to, it's not impossible, but it's slightly harder to, I guess, one trick in bot lane because of the support synergies and stuff like that. However, if you are going to one trick in bot lane and always pick the same things, characters like Smolder, Ezreal, Jinx, Yunara, people who have like I'd say people who work well with a lot of different people typically are the better characters in one trick. This game, we have the Teemo support, and if I was playing something like Samira or Lucian, I'd probably be SOL because he doesn't really give me anything. But because I'm playing a really self-sufficient character like Smolder, who pretty much can do his own, he can play his own game and doesn't really need his support to enable him too much, I'm not really hurt too much by the fact that this guy picked Teemo. So if you're gonna one trick and bot, it's probably a little bit harder to one trick and bot, but it kind of comes with the benefit of ADC characters. I would say once you learn how to play one ADC, it's a lot easier to pick up the other ADCs. So it's easier to have multiple bot laners you play because they play. I won't say they all play similar. There are unique ones, but they're not like super hard. Their skills are very transferable to one another. Right? So now we're done with support synergies. Remember, you can check out the video where I talk about that in the description. Next one is going to be about the, I guess, disparity you hear. Because sometimes you will hear people say, bot lane sucks. It's a horrible role to play. And they'll show you some clip of Mundo walking an ADC down and just one-shotting them, and ADC can't fight them back. And then other people will say, well, bot lane is broken. And they'll show you either a pro play clip or something, or some sort of high elo clip of, like, let's say Aphelios, he hits a big ult and he just deletes everyone. Both of these takes are true. However, how true they are, I think, changes based off whether or not you're in pro play versus solo queue, because the environments are way different. First, we're going to talk about pro play. I used Aphelios to represent it, even though he's not the only pro play ADC, and he still is viable in solo queue. I just use Aphelios because he's a hard pick, and I see him pop off a lot in pro play. He's just really cool too, and I think he just looks like the more competent, you know, professional ADC. So, anyways, pro play is gonna have coordination. By that, there's gonna be 5 people in VC usually talking to each other. So, whenever we're making our picks and drafts and stuff, we're all thinking about each other when we pick. When we go into team fights, we're gonna be taking very specific, I guess, formations in the team fights and looking to peel and protect people, and we're gonna all prioritize the same thing. Well, not we, because I'm not a pro player, but you get what I'm saying. I'm a solo queue player, I'm not a pro player. The pros are gonna be looking to do that. They're also gonna be peeling for the ADC a lot more, so there's gonna be less situations in which the ADC gets one-shotted like in solo queue, and they're gonna have access to, I describe them like, let me go back to the PowerPoint. I think I described them as advanced combos. Basically, think of a game like Persona, where like when you knock someone down, you could do that time for an all-out attack thing, and you like hit him with like the long, like 5v5 execution. That happens way more in pro play because League has built in, I guess, all-out attacks, but they usually are hard to do in solo queue because they require you to be combing with each other. ADCs like Aphelios and Varus typically have some of the strongest all-out attacks you could do in the game, which is why you'll see Aphelios, Varus, and like sometimes Yunara. You'll see things like that picked a lot because ADCs usually are OP as hell when you do an all-out or an advanced combo. Now we're going to compare it to solo queue. The solo queue is quite different from pro play. Solo queue is, I guess, like the Wild West. There's not going to be as much coordination, and everyone's kind of just out for themselves. I mean, we're on the same team, but sometimes in solo queue, we're not teammates. We're just 5 people that can't hurt each other, depending on the circumstances. Team fights aren't going to be as organized. There might be random flanks that are happening. Sometimes the ADC just gets one-shotted because the support was going somewhere else, and not everyone's paying attention all the time. We're not all in VC. There's going to be heroes and villains because unlike in pro play where like the game's going to be slower and everyone's going to be farming at a specific point, stuff just happens in solo queue where some people get leads, and typically in solo queue there's going to be a guy on each team that's either a guy or like a few guys on each team that are like the big threats, the main characters, the ones with the most money that need to die. So for that reason, it leads to heroes and villains. And lastly, I wrote dramatic. What do I mean by dramatic? This is a correlation with the lower you are in elo, but games kind of just go back and forth on whether or not who's going to win or who's going to lose. If you look at an Iron match, this is the most extreme example, but if you look at Iron and go 20 minutes in and then gamble on who's going to win, it's probably a little bit harder in an Iron game than a pro play game. A pro play game, you sometimes look 20-15 minutes in and you start to get an idea of who's going to win because there's less, I guess, there's less mistakes being made, and the lead between teams won't bounce back and forth as much. In those messy, crazy environments, ADC will be weaker because ADC is usually the in-game scaling role that requires people to rely on them. And it won't be bad, and for that reason, I used Smolder to represent solo queue. It won't be bad, but what is strong will be different depending on where you're at and who you're playing with. I think Smolder is not the only viable pick in solo queue. I'm not telling you to play Smolder, but I think he's a good representation of the kind of character that does well in this messy environment. Characters like Smolder, Ezreal, like the self-sufficient ones that don't need fuel and stuff as much, and they can kind of just play their own game. However, Aphelios is still perfectly viable in solo queue. If you get cracked at Aphelios, go ahead and play Aphelios. I just think they these two represent the divide really well. So yes, in short, ADC is better in pro play than it is in solo queue because it's a team-oriented game. It's a team-oriented role that needs a lot of peel, but it's still good. I think it's still good in solo queue, just a little bit weaker, and it plays a bit differently than it does, and it plays more like a survival horror in solo queue. Still, however, like we mentioned in the first slide, the role is dope. I love it. When things go right, when you get to the dream, ADC is sick. When you're getting one-shotted and destroyed, ADC isn't sick. It's super polarizing. But if you enjoy the role, I do recommend it. Just be wary of the mages and potentially get a support duo. The role significantly boosts in strength with the more coordination you have. So you can have someone who you're in VC with that you're talking to, specifically like a duo from like the League of Legends Discord. It will help you out a lot. So that's all I have to say. This is my experience on ADC. This is Ritzy Roy signing out. Good luck with your bot lane matches if that's the role you play.